What's going on, guys? This is Carl with the Racerred channel. Getting out today for a quick DRZ 400S ride. This bike is a beast. The mighty DRZ 400S, I should say. February 5th. And I don't know what the temperature is out right now, but I mean, the sun was out today. It felt pretty good. Probably in the high 40s. Right now, it really doesn't feel bad at all, despite the big storm right there in front of me. We had a bunch of wind yesterday, and for a while there we had a bunch of snow, but it melted quickly after that storm rolled through. So really there was only a couple weeks of just snow, and then after that it's been pretty good. But it's still early. It's early February, and it's very likely that we'll have more snow before we start getting the warm temperatures back. One nice thing is that it actually stays light out past 5 p.m., so that's really nice. You can actually be out riding around until probably around 6 p.m. Yeah, I decided to go for a little street bike ride through the farmlands around my house. It's a lot of fun riding this DRZ, and it's good to get some heat cycles on it. This bike is just a lot of fun. Crossing the Payette River right here. There's some pretty good floating right here in the summertime. A lot of people float this river. The fishing, I don't know about. I've tried fishing it, and I've yet to catch anything out of it. So this is the highway that runs through kind of my hometown, and then goes straight through Emmett on one side, leads all the way to Payette on the other. You can take the intersection from Payette all the way through Weezer and Cambridge. And these hills in front of me are where they hold the Big Nasty Hill Climb. Big Nasty Hill Climb is a yearly national hill climb where they hold professional races as well as amateur races. I've done the amateur races before. I did them on a 2005 YZ 250F. I got 4th in the stock class, and that was in 2008. So that bike was fairly new in 2008. It was a lot of fun. I might attempt it one of these years. Might get the old Husqvarna TE250 out and try it again. It's a lot of fun. It's a gigantic party. When we were there last time, my buddy and I went there, and we slept in the back of my truck, in the bed of the truck. We got woken up by a bunch of drunk dudes making weird noises and spitting and waking everybody up. They were pretty obnoxious, but that's probably the way it goes. And that guy, actually the one that woke us up, was completely passed out within, well, before noon. He was passed out the next day, and it was hot. He was laying on the ground, and people were just walking over him. It was like pretty embarrassing. As you can tell, this mighty DRZ just terrifies all these cows. When they say that the cattle are displaced and they're terrified of motorcycles, you can see those cows are just terrified of the motorcycle rolling through here. Sometimes I run across them on the trail, and I notice the same thing. They just kind of look up nonchalant. No, motorcycles are pretty friendly to the environment. My main environmental concern has to do with water. I don't want people dumping their chemicals in our water. That's the biggest one for me. But motorcycles aren't even a scratch on the surface. I mean, they don't account for any of our pollutants in the air, that's for sure. I mean, they do, but it's so minuscule that it really doesn't make a difference. That's why I am 100% pro motorcycle. Run into some bugs, and that's about it. But you run into probably 1/10 of the bugs that you would on a car or inside a car. And cars put out way more emissions. It's kind of weird to find that line where you define what's right and wrong in terms of killing animals around you, because at some point you get down to bugs. And I've heard this before, like I've heard a lot of people mention, well, bugs don't really matter. There's some kind of hierarchy there. And it's definitely true. There's a hierarchy, and the hierarchy for me is basically just humans are superior and they should be treated well no matter what. And they are the only sacred, truly sacred life form. I mean, dogs, I love dogs, don't get me wrong. Like, I love dogs. They're the best pets ever. So interactive, they're so emotionally intelligent. But that said, a dog would go immediately before any person in my family, and they would just have to go. I mean, it wouldn't even be a thought. I would just, if she had to shove one entity, one living, one life form off of a cliff, it would be an animal 100% of the time. It's always been my thought process. Animals are here for our enjoyment. We are not here for their enjoyment. Of course, I grew up shooting squirrels basically for fun. It was not only for that, it was actually good for the ranch as well, because they would just dig holes in everything. They would just take over. So basically we'd go out there and, hey look, there's some deer on my left here. We would go out there and walk around and just pick off squirrels left and right. See if I can get a view of those deer. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick that up. 3 of them out there. Our ancestors, they were like 100% strong, brutal people. Even looking back a few generations of my family, I'm like, man, what they had to go through even back then was pretty brutal. I mean, my great-great-grandpa, pretty brutal stuff. Pretty brutal times. And they were just built differently than we are now. We've definitely become a lot more weak than, a lot weaker than they were, for sure. And if you look back at their language that they used, and I don't know, it just seems like they were more intelligent, especially in certain ways, than we are now. Now we worry about killing bugs. Look at those cows frolicking. This is honestly not even cold. I don't know what the temperature is right now, but this feels like a nice, like, spring ride right now. Of course, I do have a big old jacket on and a neck gaiter, so that helps. I am 100% just talking gibberish, guys. I don't know. I didn't really have a topic going into this. I'm just talking about environmentalism and random stuff right now. Just enjoying the ride. I was talking about the hierarchy of animals and bugs. I mean, at some point, you're always going to be killing something. That's the cycle of life. And like I have said in this video and many others, the best thing to do is make sure that the quality of life for humans is at the highest it can be. And if you're part of the reason why somebody's quality of life has dropped, then you gotta recalibrate how you're living it. So I know there are so many people who are so awesome that have inspired me to try to work on that. And they're out there, and they are the strongest people alive. They really have it figured out pretty well. I don't think anybody really has this thing figured out, but there are some people who are pretty enlightened. The stronger you feel, the more you just want to leave people to their own free will and help them along their way. Try to make it better. It's really a small window that we have. I mean, not to get too deep on you guys, but it really is a small window that we have. With funerals even, I don't usually do funerals, just because, unless it's somebody really close to me, like family member close, I don't usually go to funerals, because a funeral is not about the deceased, it's about the living, and it's about how you are able to move on, and it's about your grieving process, and so it has nothing to do with the deceased whatsoever. It's not a show of respect, that's for sure. It's just in your own life how you can move on from that experience. I've seen a lot of people enter the shadow realm in my time on Earth, and I would say that the thing that I've learned is that it's like being poured out of a bucket back to back. Look at that rainbow over there. More like eggs. Like if you drop eggs out of a basket, and the one in the back is mourning the one in the front because the one in the front hit first. I think they've wasted the very little time that they had before they've hit the ground. And so that's the way I've always looked at life, I guess, or not always. It's kind of something that I've realized once I hit 30, I think, because you start seeing people hit the ground and you realize, well, I'm just like right there. In the grand scheme of things, time is relative, and it's only a heartbeat away, no matter how far out you're looking. I mean, at best, we all have 100 years, and that's not a very long time. Gotta watch this. This road may have a little coating of mud on it. It's nice and wet. I was listening to this thing today, actually, that said that anybody who says there's something better than this world and life on this earth, anybody who says that there's something better out there is bad, basically, or that's a horrible outlook. And I would have to completely disagree with that one. I think there's probably something better. I mean, it's so wildly improbable that we're here doing the crazy stuff that we're doing. I mean, as I'm just sitting here enjoying myself on a nice winter day, nice and sunny, it's pretty warm. This is like just incredibly improbable. There's definitely something going on besides science that we can explain, that's for sure. To think that there's a different place that's even better, why wouldn't you believe that? Because this place exists, doesn't it? So why wouldn't another place exist? It makes no sense why people would try to argue against that. Just because one place exists doesn't mean that another can't. Actually, it's quite the opposite. I think this is just evidence that other things can exist. And if we were random in the universe, there's just no possible way it's random. There's just no way it's random. That's my thought on that video I saw today. There's no way. No way. You know, I thought it was probably because of my gear that I'm wearing that I'm so warm, but really, I mean, I've got these pants on that are stretchy, by the way. They look nice and they're stretchy. I always wear just like kind of gym clothes, like every day I wear these joggers and just things that, like if I wanted to hit the gym, I could just go in there and not even change. I realize that doesn't look that well put together, but it's what I enjoy. I enjoy being comfortable, and I enjoy being active whenever I have an opening. So that's kind of what I do. Well, these jeans aren't exactly something that I would go to the gym in, but they're like a half breed. They are really comfortable. And I could actually hit the gym in these. I would just look weird. People would still be kind of raising their eyebrows, I think. Yeah, this time of year, you got to be careful. This dirt on the road is very loose. And in spots, it's wet. And so there's like this layer of mud on the road. You got to watch your speeds for sure, and then watch your angles. Bring the bike up and down. That's another thing that I've always thought, is that people should ride dirt bikes before they ever ride street bikes. If you've ridden a dirt bike for a year, you are better than 95% of all street bike riders. It seems like almost every time I watch a street bike rider when I'm in a car, I'm like, wow, they can barely ride that thing. So if you're riding a dirt bike, you learn so much more. There is a lot of obstacles you have to deal with, even if you're riding on just easy, simple terrain. It's not so simple. It is actually really difficult. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening to me rant about nothing. I think I'm gonna grab the other camera, see if I can do some filming with that one. Catch you guys on the next video. Peace. Alright guys, I just wanted to give some of my Patreon supporters a shout out. I really appreciate them. Yucky Don't Eat is my newest one. Daniel Roush, Brian Thomason, Mike Slater, Jason Froling, Jim Jolson Jr., Lance Darnell, Wade James, Kurt Kinghorn, Jared Bauer. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. You guys have helped a huge amount for my channel to grow and to keep making content, and you are appreciated.